G'day, welcome to Art with Alison. Alright, today I'm going to be doing a ring pour in Arteza colours, or mainly Arteza actually. I'm going to include an Araldo here of the orange. So I've got Arteza Pearl White, show you the consistencies. So reasonably thick, or a little bit thick, not hugely thick. Mand, on a mand. And this is the Arteza Canary Yellow. Yeah, I was thinking of putting a bit more Floetrol in it, but I want it fairly thick in the middle this bit, so I'll leave that as it is. That's the Pearl Canary Yellow, and this is Araldo Orange. Just thought a nice bright orange would be nice in here. And this is Arteza Crimson and Arteza Gold, Arteza Marmalade, Pearl Marmalade, and this one is Arteza Pearl Deep Brown. I'm not sure if I'm going to use that, or I might instead use this one, which looks almost the same, but this is actually made up with mainly Araldo paints, and yes, virtually the same colour, but I really need to use this up, and it is rather deep and luscious, so I'm going to have that as one of the colours. And yeah, I don't think I'll just skip the Arteza one and save that for another pour. Alright, so I just want a teeny bit of white. What goes in first comes out last, and so it will end up in the middle of a ring pour. And so what's in the middle obviously doesn't take up as much space as what's on the outside edges. So generally speaking, it's better to have a smaller amount for the middle sections. Going to larger volumes. I don't know if that's enough because I want it to, it's a hard one because I want the yellow to stand out. I don't want it to end up just orange in the middle, but we shall see. You can always pour over another ring pour with just the yellow if I really have to. That's always an option. You don't have to be happy. I'll do a bit more of the orange because we're going a bit further out of the ring now. You don't have to stick with what comes out of your pour. You can embellish, you can pour over the top, you can do all sorts of things rather than just scrape if you don't like it. In fact, just a few days back I did a pour and I didn't like it. Well, I didn't mind it, but it didn't suit the big canvas. It's on a 20 by 20 canvas. And it was too busy, too small and busy for that size canvas. So, but there's so many lovely parts to it. So I decided to dip some, they're actually glass domes, but they're called cabochons, and you use them to make jewellery. So you dip them in your paint and then turn them, I use a golf tee and a bit of poster putty and to hold it together, dip them in a bit of the, I mean, had to have a whole painting to choose from. Was fabulous, rather than just the poured off paint, because sometimes there's, you know, sometimes you can find some lovely bits, but to have a whole painting of so many lovely spots to choose from was quite wonderful actually. And I've done a little video on that, so that will be coming up. So yeah, I was able to find some lovely spots to dip the cabochons into to make jewellery. And then they've dried beautifully, and then I will put those, I will glue them into some little trays and to make the jewellery with. Now you might have heard a whimper. I've got dogs, lots of dogs. I breed Labradors, And they do make a bit of noise, I'm afraid, especially snoring at this time, because this is now evening and they're mainly settled down, and so they will be snoring. But I think there's one of them still wants to play. She's trying to egg the others on to play. I've told them they need to be quiet. They kind of understand. They're usually pretty good once I explain to them. Not always. Anyway, I think that bright orange will look nice in here. Because we're getting wider, I can put a bit more in. Now I'll go for the yellow. Can put a bit more in this time. Might have to put that down. It's always a... That's dog's going through the doggy door. Sorry about that, it's a bit loud. The reason why for this sort of pour it's good to pour it down the side is because it helps the paints not to all mix together. Otherwise, if you pour from above, that's what's called a dirty pour, when you pour from above, because it makes all the paints mix together. Well, it encourages them to mix more together than doing it this way. This way they're more likely to just sit on top of each other in layers, which, if that's what you want, which is what I want, it helps to create more defined lines. That doggy door is very loud. Might go for the pearl marmalade now. Now the pearl marmalade is an opaque colour, so it can tend to kind of just take over a little bit. It's always a good idea to look at the opacities of your paints to check whether or not they're opaque or semi-transparent or transparent, because that will affect the outcome of what your pour looks like. Like sometimes it's nice to have the transparent and semi-transparents next to each other, because you can end up with a lovely kind of blending. But with the opaques too, it can be, if you're going for cells, then you can sometimes have lovely cells coming up through your opaque colours. I'm not expecting cells in this pour because I found that the Arteza paints, when they're just Arteza with Arteza, they generally don't make cells. I have got a couple of Araldos in here, but I don't think it's enough to make much difference. Whereas the Araldos, I believe that's an Australian brand, even though it does not sound Australian. But yeah, that makes some quite nice cells when mixed with Floetrol. Of course, being, I don't know if you know, but I'm in Australia, and being in Australia, I get something landed in there. I have the Australian Floetrol, of course, and I have heard that reacts a bit differently with paints than what you get in the US. So, but I but I haven't tried the US Floetrol. I'm quite happy with the Australian one. It works very, very well for me. I'm not big on using silicone. I'm not saying I won't, but I'm not presently in any of my pours I'm doing at the moment using silicone because I find I get some lovely lacing from using the Floetrol. And hey, you know, Sarah Mack, who I've been following heaps, she uses, obviously there must be the American Floetrol, and she gets beautiful cells with hers. So can't be that much different, I would have thought. Now, you might have noticed I have my paints in these containers, and they all have lids, and I can seal them up, and they last weeks and months sometimes between using, and so far I haven't had any problems. Sometimes when they've been left for many months they do turn a little bit more liquidy for some reason, but not much. I've had great, I have health problems which makes me, well, I have a lot of, I don't know if I really should be sharing this with you, but I don't suppose it matters. Lots of other people do, but I do have a lot of health issues, and it causes a lot of pain, and I get exhausted very easily. You know, like if you've been running a marathon, everything hurts and you have to stop. Well, it's a bit like that, and so I can only do a little bit at a time of whatever it is I'm doing. And I was finding that mixing the paints before the pours and then doing the pours and then the clean up afterwards, I was just finding it really, really hard. And so I started mixing up the paints first and putting them into containers and storing them, and so it takes a huge burden off me before I do a pour, and makes me more likely to be able to do more pours, because I can do that ahead of time if I've run out, and yeah, just makes me able to do paintings without as much pain, basically. So, and I'm loving doing the paintings. All right, well, that's looking pretty. I shall now clear this away, and I'll bring you in shortly to do the pour part, the exciting part, the interesting part. Alright, I'll just use this for the puddle in the middle, and then I'll use it to put around the edges as well. I do find if you're using a colour for your puddle that's the same as one of your colours in your paint, and also for your, if you're using a base coat or the flow extender, if it's the same, I dipped it in there, if it's the same as one of the colours in your pour, then it won't matter if you've got that colour coming through anywhere. Alright, so, isn't that pretty? So I brought you down. Hopefully this will make it easier to see what I'm doing. But I might have to take it back up again. It wouldn't let me zoom in. I was hoping I'd be able to zoom in. Oh, I better, got a new camera, new phone. And I've noticed other people have been zooming in. But I think maybe I have to have it turned around the other way. But I find it easier to see what I'm doing in selfie mode. Anyone out there's got some ideas, let me know. Anyway, let's do this. So I find if you start off as a straight pour, get it into the middle. And do your circles. It does tend to go wobbly, and I think that's either because my paint's too thick, or I'm going too slowly. When I go faster, it seems to get better. Lucky, it seems to usually only happen in the beginning. Well, the orange is taking over, isn't it? Guess I did put a lot in the middle there, didn't I? We shall see. Try and keep it in the middle. As it gets closer to running out of paint, need to be more careful because those middle circles is what are going to be stretched out the most. Try and let it get down to that yellow and the white. Didn't put much in, so there's not much coming out. Hard to judge this, I tell you. It's either too much or too little. Oh, it stopped all by itself, just I wanted it to, so that was good. All right. So, I wonder if that's a blob of paint there. Why is it? You'll see when I start to tilt what is happening. The torch just helps to pop any air bubbles that have been, just the act of pouring can cause air bubbles to form, and when you're mixing your paints up it can cause air bubbles to form. And I'm just wondering what this is here. Anyway, so far so good. I've put some extra things here because usually it heads off in that direction, but now it's heading. Anyway, alright, I'll just pour this around the edges and then do the stretching. Do I lift it up again? No, I won't lift the phone camera up because I think it should be alright as long as I remember to put it back down in the same spot. Let me know if what I'm about to do is a good idea or not, or if I should have taken the camera up. Please give me that sort of feedback. That's always useful to know, that sort of thing. Right, I'll just give it a torch. Another torch, because while it's sitting, air rises through liquid, so some more air bubbles have come up. I think it's looking quite pretty. I'm liking these bands around there like that. All right. Always forget to hold the push pins. So far it's alright, I'm just holding it underneath. But I will readjust. Hold the push pins. corner. Don't have to take it off the corner, especially as I've got the same dark brown colour in the pour, so I might just hold off on that actually, on that decision. No, I don't like what's happening. Shoot, doggy door is so loud. I don't like what's happening here, where that brown must be semi-transparent. It doesn't look that great above the orange there. Let's have a look at this. I'm liking the red. I'm just going to take it back to the middle to help keep the composition. Oh, sorry, I just noticed I'm out of your view. Surprisingly, that middle's not really stretching out much, is it? Might try and centre it up a bit more. As in have it facing one of the sides. If you know what I mean. It's interesting how the brown is coming up through that red. No. Do I stop there? Yeah, brown's kind of taken over a bit too much. A bit too much. I do like the red, but it's a matter of red and brown at the moment, isn't it? The yellow's disappeared altogether. Whew. I'm going to just make up another little cup. Maybe just, I don't know, we'll see whether it'll just do the middle or if it'll end up taking over, which often is what happens because you decide that your new pour looks better than the old pour. But anyway, I'll just pop you on pause for a minute while I organise that. Alright, I've changed my mind. I think it looks alright. I think it's quite pretty actually. So yeah, I think I will keep it. Let me see if I want to make it. I would like it to kind of... It's not so easy to do though. Let's see if I can. See where the weight of the paint is where the paint is moving the most. So see where that is and then get it to... It's not moving much at all now. It's what happens. It kind of starts to set up. There we go. See, I've managed to centre that up. And it doesn't need to be in the middle, doesn't need to be centred, doesn't need to be anything, whatever you want it to be, but maybe a bit more. It's your painting, you do what you want. This is what I want. I mean, often it's good not to have your painting centred. Often it's good to have it off-centre. Depends what you're going for. I think that's slightly off centre, so I'll say I want it off centre. Yeah, yeah, it's a lot of brown, but I did put a lot of brown in it, so what can I expect? Well, because I did cover all the corners already in that lovely metallic brown. We'll call it metallic brown. That sounds better than just brown. So I don't really need to do much with the corners, but I see I touched a little bit there. So as it is a solid colour, it's actually a lot easier. I haven't got to find a pattern. I just need to cover it up with this solid colour. Actually, before I bring you in for the close-up, just remember to scrape the base of your canvas. Otherwise you can find that you'll come back to your pour and a lot of it is kind of just flowed off. So by scraping, see what happens is the paint has weight to it, and the paint down the sides is pulling as that's falling off. It's pulling the paint that's on the top across and down, and so it's important to just scrape off along the base here. And I've just noticed a spot that didn't get covered, so I better find some that I didn't just add some paint to, because that would have changed the colour, won't it? Just dab that on, fixed, done. So yeah, and then you just need to continue doing that. Like I'll do this every minute or two, or every couple of minutes, until it's not pouring off anymore. I'll kind of keep going around for a while until it stopped, until you are no longer getting any more coming down onto your stick. But even then, go away for 5 minutes and come back and try again. And then just be sure, because it's really sad when you lose your painting because it flowed off. That's an especially important reason to have whatever it's sitting on to be level, because if your table isn't level, it can end up with all your paint flowing off one side. And I'll just quickly show you too, while I've got you there, what you can do. See, with all this paint that's around, rather than just throw it in the bin. These are from the Lolly Veef store. Probably anything flat would do, but anyway, just scoop that up, pour it in, easy peasy, and look, it cleans your mat. Of course, you need to make sure that what you start with is a clean mat, or whatever surface you're using is clean, because you don't want to be scooping up dirt and having that in your paint, obviously. And you just do that and pop it in. And you just got to make sure that whatever you're putting it in, it has a lid and that it seals tightly, and then it will last for a very long time. I've got videos on other things you can do with your poured off paint. If you have a look through my videos, you can dip cardboard to make, you can turn them into greeting cards or something, or even frame them. Can dip jewellery. So yeah, it's heaps of things you can do with your paint rather than just throw it away. Even like after I finish dipping my jewellery, I will then scrape it all up and save. Alright, bring in for some close-ups now. Alright, so here it is. I think it's looking really pretty. I'm glad I didn't pour over it. I was so close to doing another pour over. Anyway, it's a bit awkward where I am. I'll just move around this side. Anyway, you can have a look at the sides. Oh, there's the dogs. They've spotted a possum in a tree. And they're going berserk. So, okay, I need to fix up the side there a bit better. But I actually really like it. Can't believe how close I was to pouring over it. And here it is from this side. So there we are. Oh, I better bring you in for some close-ups. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Alright, so some lovely lines. Right, so this corner here, see all the lovely metallics in it? I don't know if I can get it to shine. Depends on the angle. Maybe if I go in the other side, you'll be able to see the metallics glistening. And I'm really liking these cells. You see, this is the Araldo. Remember I was saying how the Arteza paints don't really cause cells, but the Araldo does. And that metallic brown there is made up of Araldo paints. So that's why we've got those pretty cells coming up. Look at those beautiful lines. Oh, I love that. That is so pretty. I love lines like that. Going around. The middle didn't do much. It didn't seem to stretch. Maybe because there was so much of the chocolate around, it didn't have anything to grip on. Like, even though this went over the side here, maybe because there was all that chocolate around it, it just, you know, there's nothing to pull it in the other directions. I like that I've left the corners because I get those beautiful lines still. I love that. I love that line of the red there. And the same on this side. Lovely lines along here. I think where the red meets the chocolate there, it's quite pretty. Okay, well, thank you so much for watching, and thanks heaps to everyone who's subscribed to my channel. I do appreciate it very, very much. Please, if you've liked the video, click on the like button, the little thumbs up. It's always nice to see that. I think, okay, someone's liked it. It does, it gives you feedback. And also lets YouTube know that you've liked it, which is important as well. Oh, look at those beautiful lines there. And yeah. Please come back again soon. I am sure to be putting up another video fairly soon. So I'll catch you again then, hopefully. Alright, thanks heaps again. Bye for now. I think it looks like it's some sort of planets in the solar system or something, I don't know. Evokes some sort of planetary cosmos thingy for me. Tell me what you think. What do you think it evokes for you? Love to know.